made that trip as well. Let me say a pleasant good evening to the Minister of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence, Senator the Honorable Dominic Smith. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening, my brother.
So,
Thank you to you and for the invitation, and of course to your viewing public. It's a pleasure to be on call with you, man.
thank you so much for taking time out to give us the information. Now, it was quite a trip. It seemed that it was quite a hectic schedule. Give us an idea, being there, being a part of it, and what it meant not just for you, but by extension, the good people here of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think it certainly was a historic time for us as Trinbagonians. I think what is important to understand is that when we have our leaders, our politicians represent us on the global stage, it's super important for us to represent the people in everything that we do and say, and all of the scheduled meetings and as well the bilateral talks that happen at the UN. And it's really just once a year that this event happens, inviting such a diverse group of stakeholders from private sector as well as, of course, diplomats, ministers, prime ministers, presidents. So in no short terms, it is a great display of world diplomacy. And for us to be represented there with such a dynamic and powerful team led by the Honorable Persad-Bissessar, it's something that all people should feel very, very proud about. And one thing that the public may not be aware of is that leading up to this event, which is sort of the grand crescendo, so to speak, there are several, high-level conversations happening, obviously, which will be guided through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and, of course, our Minister, Sean Silvers. But separate and apart from that, you go up there with the intention of meeting with persons who you feel have mutual alliances, who have mutual benefits to the people and to the country. And you certainly go there with the intention of having dialogue that will progress the goals of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and also, demonstrate diplomacy at the highest level. So I think, in general, the meetings that we had were very successful. I think the team that we had there was very strong, and I think coming out of all of those meetings during the week and also post the UNG with the Prime Minister and her team in Washington, the public can rest assured that the outcomes of those high-level meetings will redound to the benefit of the citizens, and I'm sure the Prime Minister will speak more on those goodies as the coming days roll out.
Yeah. We've had public administration ministers before in the past or what have you, but none seem as exciting as yourself, especially with that, Minister of Artificial Intelligence. And that says a lot. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago, as small as we are, but yet still the vision that we share with the Honorable Prime Minister is one of the few countries that has a minister specifically for artificial intelligence. And based on what you've seen so far in this short space of time, how important is it moving forward to have it mesh with public administration that has to lay policy for all the public, of course, implement policies for all those government policies that need to be implemented?
Yeah, I would say I agree with you 100%. To have the vision is one thing, but then to have the intention as well, and to follow through and execute with a ministry like this, it's really once in a lifetime you have that sort of visionary leadership. And I think the Prime Minister led in the front and anticipated that artificial intelligence will become one of the most transformative technologies that we will see in the next decade. And, quite frankly, with that great vision, herself and colleagues set about to create a ministry that can really provide that transformational change. When you think about the public service and the public administration, you're speaking about a couple layers. You're speaking about the human resource component, which is more administrative. You're speaking about, issues related to real estate, but you're also speaking to a very important component which links directly to the AI element, which is the human capacity aspect of the public service. We have a unit called the Public Service Academy, and it's hoped that we can really utilize the intelligence and the human power of our public servants. And how do we do that? We have to upskill, we have to retrain, we have to prepare public servants for the world of work in the future. And that happens through the Ministry of Public Administration. And you combine that now with a ministry that is public facing, so a lot of these services that the government provides, it comes directly from MPA, traditionally the Ministry of Public Administration. So you're speaking about things, you go to a line, you want to renew your passport, you want to, have an ID card, you want to, be paid essentially on a monthly basis. All of this happens through, in parts or in full, through the public administration ministry. And so aligning that now with artificial intelligence, it's a very powerful evolution of the digital transformation agenda. So AI is now globally seen as the most promising technology. And what it does essentially is that it creates an efficiency which few technologies have been able to accomplish. So you're speaking about government efficiency and delivery of services, but the other piece which people mightn't be aware of is that you're also reducing costs. Because when you utilize the technology, it further enables you to then remove any wastage, any fat that the ministry might have. And if you extend that outwardly now, you're speaking about digitizing government, you're speaking about using AI in diversifying the economy, and you're speaking about creating a fully digital society, meaning everyone who has the ability to participate online, AI and artificial intelligence will empower them to do so, which is why one of the first things that we set out to create, in the new transformation's infancy, was an artificial intelligence assistant powered by Anansi, which gives all of public service available information really at one point. And you can find anything that you want as a citizen about the government and the services and products that the government provides. So really transformational. I think in the next 5 years, the country as a whole will see how much this technology will improve our lives and really transform Trinidad and Tobago into being really a lighthouse for technology, not only here, but across the Caribbean.
Yeah, when you talk about efficiency, I mean, it's quite understandable that we would want to operate a lot more efficient. We want to get things done. But what say you when having to deal with some individuals who believe that, listen, I'm not up to this change. I felt that a lot of changes have taken place. I can't simply embrace this new technology. And there's a fair factor that they, for whatever reason, may be out of the equation, totally omitted from it. What do you say to those folks?
Well, I say to them that, change often, positive change often disguises itself, and I would say to them, be open to the change that's coming, because certainly the technology is only going to progress. It's only going to move forward. So the best way we can prepare for the future is by planning for it. And I think that is one of the areas that, we want to highlight and promote. Help our citizens not be afraid of change, but to embrace it. And we will be right there every step of the way to empower them and to give them the opportunity to utilize the technology. I would say also that, look at the past as a reflection of what is potentially the future. When we thought about the Industrial Revolution, many people again had a level of anxiety. But what the Industrial Revolution did was that it created other economies. And those economies led to increases in productivity and by extension, job creation. So there are a lot of people who are skeptical. There are a lot of people who are, as you said, have a level of anxiety. But it really is a matter of our responsibility as a government to guide and help our population navigate these uncertain times, and not only navigate it, but to be partakers of what we consider a very opportunistic future. And that would be my message to people. Embrace and utilize the products and services and the opportunities that will come through artificial intelligence and empower themselves and their families.
Yeah, basically nothing to be afraid of. I mean, just sign on and embrace it. I mean, this is where it's going to be. And when we talk about that, we must mention, of course, that factor where there are those who will definitely want to abuse this technology. And we've seen that in the past with every step we've made as far as making advancements in technology to deal with the public. Are there measures in place as far as to protect consumers, protect citizens? As we know, information is vital. We have so many people out there who, when it comes to identity theft, when it comes to claiming things that don't belong to them, are we putting that infrastructure in place to protect our citizens as well as we go about implementing these new policies?
Yeah, I think definitely we have taken the stance that we will be proactive in our approach. That can be demonstrated quite clearly by some of the cabinet approved items recently in the last, I would say, month prior to us going to the UNGA, the Ministry of Public Admin and AI. We established a Caribbean AI task force, and that was through the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, a body that I sit as the president of it. And just this week in Jamaica, we had our annual general meeting. And, the Caribbean is really looking to Trinidad as being the country that leads the way, both in terms of policy prescription and recommendations, and also how do we protect our citizens, and the vulnerable from the possible risks associated with AI, because there are risks. But I could tell you, as an example, the government has put together interministerial committee with several stakeholders, including the TTPS, including TTC CERT, including Office of the Prime Minister, and of course, we've been looking at what are the potential risk factors involved. One of the major items that have come up with the result of fraudulent activity, the misuse of images and videos, the manipulation of these videos using AI and technology. And what we've done is that we're on the cusp of having that ministerial committee do the analysis and provide recommendations. But not only that, we are also being proactive in the way in which we bring citizen-based awareness to these problems. Because it's one thing to have the technology, it's the next thing to recognize that there are risks involved, but then how do we protect the public through knowledge? So I think that has been the stance of the government. And my ministry in particular, we've worked with the Ministry of Finance as well to provide content and to provide that layer of protection, at least inform citizens, what they should be aware of, when and where, and what they can rely on the government to do for them and on their behalf.
Yeah. Again, on your visit to New York recently, you may have, I'm sure you've connected with a lot of people, different countries and what have you. What was your big takeaway from all of this as far as, being a part of something that you can envision that will definitely benefit us here in Trinidad and Tobago?
I can tell you that the entire world, and there's no hyperbole there. The entire world is engaged in conversations surrounding AI and what potential it has for their countries, good and bad. And in the UN in particular, I had the opportunity to sit in on the United Nations Security Council, and at that council, many countries are invited to give statements. And all of the conversations had elements of artificial intelligence and risks, and how their countries are adapting to the changing technology. So I think for one standpoint is that we are certainly pioneering AI in the Caribbean, and the CARICOM nations looking to Trinidad and Tobago to lead the way. I think that became very evident. And then secondly, we have a very unique opportunity to become first movers in a space that has a lot of potential. And that is both in transforming the society in terms of technology, but also diversifying the economy. Because when the globe meets, and those nations meet, they're speaking about digital public infrastructure, which is something that through my ministry we are investing in heavily. They're speaking about data centers. They're speaking about cloud-based resources. They're speaking about how do we navigate, the use of sovereign data. So all of these concepts are concepts that the ministry is actively engaged in. While in New York, I can tell you as well that we had several high-level meetings with tech-based companies that are at the front of the race in terms of artificial intelligence and its use. And so Trinidad can rest assured that we are being certainly proactive, and we are making the bold decisions, taking the risk to put us at the head of the curve.
Yeah, I think you made it clear some time ago that the entire digital public infrastructure is one that has to be safe, inclusive, and of course protective of the citizens.
Yes, definitely. And these concepts might sound foreign, but we're really trying to do three things. We're trying to, as much as possible, digitize government, and there will be digital public infrastructure requirements there. We're trying to digitize the society, and that means including everyone in the transformation picture, from the person who's in Port of Spain to the person who's in Togo, all across in Tobago. And so inclusivity is very important in that concept, right? And then we're trying to as well digitize the economy, right? So we're looking at ways in which ICT can be an enabler of existing industries, manufacturing industry, might be in agriculture. How can technology boost and promote healthcare? How can we improve our ports? How can we improve our transportation and logistics? And AI will play a role in all of these things as the country moves forward, led by our leader, Persad-Bissessar. The Ministry of Public Admin and AI, we're working in tandem with a lot of other ministries, and there will be a shared service type of approach where, technology will be consolidated, and then we'll partner with other ministries to really improve their service delivery as well.
All right, sounds great. Any closing comment? Go right ahead.
In closing, I wanna thank the leader, the Prime Minister, for her trust in her ministers. She has put together a very dynamic and knowledgeable team, a mix of old and young, a mix of wisdom and experience, but youth and vibrancy. And I think that is a very good combination to promote and push Trinidad in the way that it needs to be pushed and promoted. And I would say to the public, be as open as you can to the policies. We have the budget that is upon us. And the things that we are doing, we're doing it from a citizen-first standpoint. And if I were a citizen, I would be very hopeful and optimistic of the next few years. And as a private individual, I myself am excited about the technology that will come to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and the transformation that they would see both in the short term and the long term. So I want to wish all of your viewers, a very good evening, and the rest of the weekend, please enjoy it. And I want to thank you, my brother, for the opportunity to speak.
Always. Thank you so much, Minister. Keep up the good work, and we'll be checking in with you periodically. Thank you so much.
Cheers, my brother. Have a good evening.
The Observer.